It's the Showboats and the Stallions, and Skip Holtz went 2-1 against John DeFilippo's Breakers in last year's USFL. The home squad here favored by 7.5. Total sits at 41. Forecast looking good, mid-60s and clear. Really nice night for football. So this is your chance, Stallion fans. You got to show out now as back-to-back USFL champs, and this would be a big one for you guys to potentially extend that winning streak to 10 games. Have not lost in a while. So how can the Ponies extend their win streak to 10? Well, it's pretty simple in this one, and it's the defense for the Birmingham Stallions. It's really men against boys at this point up front for the Stallions, and really at least for the first two offenses that tried to score on them. I don't really expect Saturday to be much different. In fact, we can even take a look at some of the defense that Birmingham's been able to put up so far. Taco Charlton has been an absolute nightmare, and we expected him to be that. There's a reason. He was a first-round NFL draft pick. Birmingham's leading the league with 9 sacks. They had 7 against Michigan. They rank second against the pass and the rush, and actually in takeaways as well. They could be a little bit better on third down, but for the most part, this is overall the best defense on the USFL side. I'm not ready to say it's the best defense in the league yet. It probably is, but I want to see a few more tests up against some high-caliber quarterbacks and see how they do. Case Cookus could be one of those. We saw times in the Michigan game where the Birmingham offense kind of sputtered a little bit in the red zone, but when it came time to lock down and win this game and close it out, it was the defense that slammed the door shut on the Panthers and even the Renegades in week 1. Michigan had 2 trips to the red zone. One resulted in an A.J. Thomas pick, and the other one, they got a ton of QB hurries and a couple sacks, and we find out towards the end of that game, E.J. Perry might have got dinged up a little bit, not practicing this week with an ankle. That could be pretty significant. Birmingham defense has only allowed 2 touchdowns the entire season. It's not going to be easy for Memphis here to score. However, Mark Gilbert, the Stallions' top corner and one of the top corners in the UFL, not practicing this week due to personal reasons. We will monitor that. That's something to keep an eye on. For Memphis offensively, Darius Victor, their tailback, hurt, as well as a starting tackle. So, again, injuries matter, especially when we're talking about betting. Case Cook is taking far too many hits last week. He ended up on the ground constantly. He battled through and finished the game, but you got to protect your quarterback. I will say I was impressed with the Memphis pass game to start things out against San Antonio last weekend. I expect them to take a step forward in the red zone, where they were just 1 of 6 in last weekend's game and really just awful the entire season. They've been 2 for 9. They've left so many points on the board. Have the Showboats. Can really only go up from here, but I still think a real solid edge goes to that Birmingham defense. This is John Chavis, former SEC defensive coordinator, and this front 7 is a quarterback nightmare. I mean, Charlton breaks out, like we said, 3 sacks with him. And even the linebackers, you got Gates, Scooby Wright, and the secondary has been good when it counted. So this Birmingham Stallions defense has the chance this week to prove to me that they are the best defense in the UFL, and ultimately defense is what's going to win you a championship. We saw the last 2 seasons in the USFL, Birmingham had a few blips, but they have a lot of a different makeup on that side of the ball now, bringing a lot of new guys in that had NFL experience. I mean, just on the defensive front alone, Charlton, who might lead the UFL in sacks when it's all said and done this year, first-round pick. I mean, you take a guy like that and you put him against offensive lines in the UFL, which have been struggling a little bit as of late. He's going to be a quarterback nightmare, and I don't know if that Memphis offensive line can hold up. Let's flip sides of the ball. Let's look at the Stallion offense against that Memphis defense. Memphis defensively, what do we make of them? For as bad as giving up 20 points in the fourth quarter might sound, I don't know if I'm ready to define this defense by what they showed in the fourth quarter of that game. This is the UFL's number one rush offense in Birmingham. You see Martinez going for over 10 yards a carry, averaging a first down every time he takes off, against a Memphis defense who's number one in the UFL against the run. So we got to touch on this quarterback situation in Birmingham to figure out what is Skip Holtz going to show us this week. It's been a revolving door, sort of a two-horse race between Matt Corral and Adrian Martinez. For as good as the front sevens in this league have been, nobody has been able to sack Corral or Martinez. They've been getting away from pressure better than any quarterbacks in this league. Just one sack allowed in 2 games. And I credit the offensive line for that as well. But specifically Martinez, 10 yards a carry? I mean, you're doing that. Why even call a play? It's just quarterback scramble. You could try to spy him, but he's actually second in the league in overall rushing yards. He's beating like 7 or 8 starting running backs through that category. So to me, the run game's okay. Pass game took a big step back in week 2 for Birmingham, and I think that's kind of a byproduct of a 2-quarterback system. And I know it sounds cliche, but not being able to get guys in rhythm and ultimately just rotating tendencies and different routes that receivers are running, it just seemed like they weren't on the same page. They only had 141 yards passing last week. That was the lowest in the UFL. They also struggled in the red zone, only 1 for 6 in red zone touchdown chances. So I think you're going to see a bounce back from the Stallion offense. Again, both these teams, Stallions and the Boats, left so many points on the board in week 2. They kicked 4 field goals each, a lot of those inside the 10-yard line. Both of them fumbled snaps on 3rd and goal, like right on the short porch. So I think the Stallions will definitely clean that up. And if I'm Skip Holtz, I'm coming out throwing it with Matt Corral. I mean, you have the receivers to do it. You got to let Matt Corral get in a rhythm here. And I'm sure they're going to look at how San Antonio exposed that Memphis secondary and kind of prey on that. So edge to the Stallions offense here. Not as big of an edge as their defense will provide them in this game, but I think they can get into the high 20s with ease here. So the Ponies are the pick for me this week. I also lean the over in this one. I think there's some 1 for 6 being an outlier in the red zone for both teams. I don't think you see 5 missed opportunities from both sides in the red zone again. I have no real take on the spread. I think the number's probably right around good, but yeah, I'm leaning the over here. Zook, who you got?
Well, I'm not taking Memphis until I see a second half from them. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So pretty easy pick. I'm taking Birmingham.
3-0 start.
As far as the spread goes, it's pretty fair. If you look at the line, it don't pay much either way.
Yeah, I didn't have an advantage on that. I feel like if you're gonna, the only play would be Birmingham really for me. But again, losing value going.
It was tempting to take the 7.5 on the other side.
You think so?
Yeah, it was tempting. Didn't do it,
right.
but I thought about it.